All right. Saddle up, lock and load. Bill, always a pleasure to join you on Dog Whistle Brandon. I'm actually podcasting today from the Hoover Institution at Stanford University, of all places.
Yeah, you got Condoleezza and all these other fantastic humans that have chosen you to pour into you, Mike. I'm not surprised. I'm envious of them, and I'm so happy to see you there.
I'm surprised I'm able to get you on this podcast, man. I text Bill all during the week, and I'll tell y'all why. I'm in a growth phase of my business, right?
Yeah.
And I'm stuff is just starting to work. I've identified a hard problem. How many veteran business owners are handling all the marketing and sales themselves, and they need help. And the more we do
Yeah.
this podcast, the more I create content, and the more I start educating people, the more I'm becoming a go-to on marketing and branding. And so dealing with this growth and, you know, all that comes with it, I just appreciate Bill for getting my text message, because I just text him random business stuff, but he always gives me really, really valuable advice.
Yeah. And yeah, let me check my text. Oh shit, there's 22 more text messages from Iron Mike. And that's only 6:10 in the morning.
I know, getting after it. So what I will tell you is for today, right? Bill sends me a lot of stuff. He's like, I want to talk about this on the podcast. I want to talk about this on the podcast. And so before we went live, we triaged, and something that was top of mind for him was this email he got from Joe Polish from the Genius Network and the I Love Marketing podcast, which we're going to dive into today, because a lot of people are confused about what marketing actually is. And I like Chris Lockhead, and he says marketing is sales at scale. That's really what it comes down to. And
Joe would agree with that.
I'm so surprised though when people are like, oh, I don't have any clients, I don't got a pipeline. And it's like, well, what kind of marketing are you doing? You know, what kind of sales are you doing? You're not creating any momentum. You're not putting anything in the marketplace. How do you expect people to know, like, and trust you if you're not out there actually talking to potential customers?
Right. I think we get and this happens a lot. And back when I started my first company, Mike, there was no social media. I think Facebook came in probably 8 years after that. So it was hardcore, get out there and sell it, because there was no marketing. There was no way I could like market my little teeny company to buyers. Buyers were surgeons, buyers were hospital administrators, buyers were purchasing agents. There was no way I could market anything that they were going to see me. So I actually had to get dressed up in a coat and tie, show up on a Tuesday and Thursday, which were salesman days. And I had to sit there and wait for my turn. It was hardcore sales. Now I had to understand a little bit about branding because I had to speak in the right way. I had to understand a little bit about marketing. So I had like a brochure or something, but there was no pseudo, am I being successful in my company building? Pseudo, well, I get a lot of likes, or I got up 10 shares, or any of that stuff. Because in the bottom line, as Joe Polish, Joe runs a group called 25K. And you pay $25,000 a year to join this networking and mastermind group, and it's super valuable. And Joe is probably up there with the top 2 or 3 or 1. Maybe he's the best marketer on the planet. I just know I value what he says, especially when it comes to marketing, and he surrounds himself with great brand builders and marketers. But Joe never confuses the fact that the purpose of brand building and marketing is to get a lead and to convert that lead through your sales process into revenue. Period. End of story. No confusion there. And I just wrote somebody today who is in startup mode. They've graduated from Bunker Lab, and they were writing me, and I wrote back and I said, so how many leads are you communicating with a week? Is that enough? And how many of those leads convert to buying customers, revenue? And is that enough?
You know, I've been
Isn't
listening
that the bottom line, Mike?
Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of these old timers. I didn't understand them at first. You know, the old YouTube videos from like the 90s where the guys got the whiteboard up there and it's like Chet Holmes talking about sales and marketing.
Yeah.
But the longer I spend more
Brendan
time,
Burchard.
yep, the more time I spend with like the Lions Pride and being a real business owner, the more I go back and I really appreciate the kind of content these guys are putting out, because there is no fluff. They don't sugarcoat it. They don't say it's easy. They say you got to get out there, you got to talk to prospects. And again, we're not talking about cheesy, like 100 different ways to close a client. It's just more of like the stuff that actually works, right? Like going to events, sending out postcards, really nourishing clients and just doing the stuff that drives revenue.
Yeah. So what caught me, I get Joe's, if you're not signed up for Joe's, Joe Polish's Polish weekly blog, you should. I don't know. I've been on it forever, so I'm not sure if you go to just Google it and you'll find the way to sign up. But it said the yeast that makes your bread rise. And the first, see, that's a beautiful thing about his blogs is he gets right to the point. And he said, when you bake bread, you have to use lots of ingredients. Forgive me for reading. But what makes the bread rise is the yeast. All the ingredients are important, but without some ingredients, parentheses, the yeast, the recipe doesn't work. Marketing and copy, branding is the yeast that makes your bread rise, and bread is money, income, success, impact, and more. We get confused because what we think is the bread is how popular I am on social media. And popularity on social media, there is no direct line from that to your bank account. And you use your bank account to pay your bills.
So what you're telling me is when I'm trying to build brand awareness, rather than going and create an Instagram account or the new TikTok, I should probably just walk down the street and start talking to customers.
Hell yeah. This veteran that reached out to me, Mike, and I pushed back, I didn't push back in like pushback. I just suggested back to them those questions, do you have the right number of leads? Are they the right quality leads? And how many of those leads are turning into revenue? The idea is in the beginning, you have no leads and you have no customers and you have no revenue. This is the startup world. Okay. So what Mike and I are fans of is how do you go get 10 customers? How do you get your first customer? Well, I doubt seriously that somebody reading your blog, listening to your podcast, or any of that stuff, your wonderful Instagram post on what you had for breakfast or what meeting you went to, or any of that, are going to go, wow, I ought to contact them and see if they have any products to sell me, and I ought to become a customer. I don't think that happens. I think it happens like Mike said, where you go to some place where your perfect customers are hanging out. You kind of know the script that they want to respond to. You've worked on your dog whistle, and then you present yourself.
Like I didn't really start brand building until like a year later. Now, brand building, don't get me wrong, it's the first interaction people have with your brand too. So everything from the onboarding, going through the process, when their project is complete. But I didn't launch this podcast until a year and a half later. And I keep trying to tell people that because the first year was really just dedicated strictly to sales. And once I had enough margin and revenue, I was able to bring on team members to assist so that now I can do more brand building through the podcast. And again, this is a long tail. This is not something that is like, oh, we're going to, benefit from this right away. But I am going after the market of brand strategy and positioning and category design for veteran-owned businesses. And this is one of the ways I'm going to be able to do that. But make no mistake about it, right? When it comes time to driving revenue, the first thing I'm not thinking about is like, oh, let me jump on and record a podcast. It's like, hey, who do I have in my list, right? Who do I think is the best chance, for me to reach out to and start engaging with? Who is warm to buy? Who has the problem we're already uniquely positioned to solve and they're actively looking to solutions for it. So that's an important thing to think about, right? A lot of small business owners, especially early stage, even similar to where I was at, you ask them what the biggest pain point is and they need cash flow. They need revenue. And if you need revenue, you need to go out and sell, but you got to be strategic about who you're approaching. Otherwise you're going to waste your time.
And yes. And I it's more like hand-to-hand combat. Yeah. I mean, you can send in the sorties of F-18s, but eventually you send in the Marines, and they go door to door. I propose that when it comes to being a startup entrepreneur, you send in the Marines first. You go door to door, you knock on a door, you make a pitch. You're actually not pitching, you're identifying that you understand the problem that they have. You have a unique solution that you're so good at and so energized to deliver. And when you deliver that solution and address their problem, this is what it looks like. And then you go, would you like to experience that? Mike, you do that. You just signed up. I mean, I remember when Mike was nervous about, I don't know, charging $100.
Yeah.
I think Mike remembers those days and he smiles because now Mike charges a hell of a lot more than $100, but also Mike has a lot more confidence in the power of the impact he delivers. And so, Mike, you've evolved from where you were to now you have this magical solution. So here you are with this potential platinum customer. And then I don't know, what do? You show them something and then you say, what? You say, do you want any of that? And they go, what do they say?
Yes. But I also have a process. One of the things I learned is, demonstrating value early on, give people a taste of what it's like to work with you. So for me, my working sessions are golden. I jump on a working session with a client, we work through some stuff, but also it's like over time, I'll start to build this portfolio of work that people get a chance to touch and see the caliber of work that I do and the content that we put out, even with this platform and this podcast. And be quite frank, they want it. They need help with it, and the biggest frustration. So I'll tell you, right, I'm writing this book, Bill, and this digital marketing person came on to talk to us about the book launch. And he was showing all these spreadsheets and da-da-da. And I'm just sitting here looking at that. And I'm like, I feel like none of this matters. Right. And I'm
exactly.
Because like, if you show me all this stuff and it still don't get sold 200 books, I'm going to be pissed, And so like, even quite frank, like, and this is why I've been texting back and forth with you of like, some people are looking for a marketing manager. This is somebody that's gonna, this social media post goes out this day. This social media post goes out that day. Da-da-da. That's not me. I like to help you figure out like who your perfect customer is. Are we communicating our value properly? Have we identified where the fish are? Not this other stuff. And I'm afraid, and this is where people probably get upset with digital marketing, with PR agencies, is we're so focused on these spreadsheets and stuff now that we forget what it is to actually talk to humans.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Whether you're B2C, B2B, about the only business that I guess you don't need to worry about humans, even though humans are there, are these AI businesses where you're completely automating everything. You're still serving humans, but you're not engaging with them. The AI is is engaging. And Mike, you and I are not in that. That's way beyond us. Okay. We're the Marines and sorry, I'm not a Marine. I've not earned being Marine. I'm pretending like I'm a Marine.
You're the sage of the Marines. You're the sage. You're my sage.
Okay. I'm sure the Marines would love to hear that about Bill Watkins. But anyway, Mike, we're just small businesses and we're in hand-to-hand combat almost every day. No, we started this call and Mike was kind enough to go, so, hey, Bill, how's everything going over the Lions Pride? You got enough leads coming in? And what was my answer?
No.
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 Because that's how we live. I don't care how successful you are. Our brain says we don't have enough leads. We don't have enough revenue. We want more. We want more. We want more. And so that's just the world we live in. There's nothing automated about, getting your first customer or getting your 1,000th customer. It's hard damn work. But what we do learn and that we get to, Mike, is that while spreadsheets are important, there is another person that we are talking to. Whether we're communicating by email or on our webpage, or we're actually in a Zoom call, or we're in a face-to-face meeting, there's a human there. And what we forget, and this is to you startup entrepreneurs, because experienced business people forget this, is to define who that person is. So if you could anonymously watch your website get visited, you could identify who's there. And then you could identify, I'm doing this with that website update we're having. I told you it's coming out in April, May. What do they want to hear? What are they feeling? Where do they need to go on our website? Like, what do we need to help them with? And then slowly, some of them will leave. Not slowly, but some of them will leave. And slowly but surely, some of them will want more. And that's how you got, Mike, you texted me. I could go look at your text thread, but you sent me your new pricing. Where the hell is that?
Yeah, I put it in the Slack channel. Yeah.
Was it in this?
Yeah, it was in the
here,
Slack
no,
channel.
here it is. Here it is. Yeah. So now you've got a bronze. Your bronze level now, the revenue level of your bronze level is what your freaking diamond platinum level was 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And your super duper Ironbound Studio galactic level product is more money than you used to earn in a year.
This is true. So
Bro,
yeah.
Tell people how you did that.
Honestly, you can tell for startup entrepreneurs, early stage founders that don't have any real revenue, you can tell that they haven't been talking to customers, because there's just this, there's not a confidence there, right? It's this like hesitancy, right? Versus, you know, like myself, of like, I spend so much time talking to my ideal buyer, talking to the person that could benefit most from Ironbound's products and services, that I really do have an understanding of the problem that they're facing. And I have a better understanding of who they are and where